Pascal. You are now rocking with that dude Pascal. We be going wild, Haitian in the building, so original. Got the haters catching feelings. Get your hands up to the ceiling and keep them held high, cause St. Louis isn't ready. Forget about it, goodbye. Hold on, we just saying hi. Five somebody, rise up. Weekdays, catch us live, somebody. Let's go.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Pascal Show. Hope you guys are all doing well out there. Hope this show finds you in great spirits. So there's a little bit of a few things I need to tell you guys, because there might be a little change in what we have planned for today. Okay. So I do want to explain that here in just a minute. But before everything, we are live, we are here, we got to talk about this stuff. And I have a lot of questions, okay? I got a lot of questions for you guys, and hopefully we get some of these questions answered throughout today. So please do me a favor, hit that like button down below, crush it, do what it do. That'd be greatly appreciated. All right? Hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms like Rumble, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everybody. X/Twitter. Okay, hope you guys show some love. Well out there. Hit that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that follow button on those platforms. Okay, like I said, I'm on Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and on the Rumbles. So please show some love. Sorry about the echo, guys. Echo is fixed. But please be sure to do that. Hit that follow button as well. Crush that subscribe button on my main channel. Go to my secondary channel, the Pascal Show Clips. Please crush that subscribe button over there as well. That'd be greatly appreciated. Okay, Pascal Show Clips. I just put up a new video over there that I think you're gonna want to sink your teeth into. So please be sure to check that out. Also, if you want to support the channel, hit that join button down below. Become a member. Okay. Check out my Patreon, patreon.com/The Pascal Show. And I also have locals.com/The Pascal Show. And also, let's not forget, check out my merch. Okay? pascalmerch.com. All right? We got some really great t-shirts, hoodies, you name it. Check it out. Especially when the weather is getting colder, eventually getting colder out here. I'm sure you're going to find something to put onto your body to keep you warm throughout the day and at night. Anyway, guys. All right. So there's a little bit of a change in plans here, because what I heard last night was that there was going to be a hearing today at around 9 o'clock in the morning. Now this has been moved to about noon-ish, or actually like around 2 or 1 o'clock my time. So one thing is for sure, obviously there's no hearing going on right now as we speak, but still there is somebody that's going to be joining us in a couple minutes. That is, a good friend of the show, hasn't been on in a couple years, to be honest. And I'm looking forward to having him on to answer some questions, some legal questions, revolving around this whole situation with Diddy. There's been a lot of questions that have been popping off. We all been wanting to know and understand what is going on here, what today really means, because apparently there's been new stuff going on. Okay. Like I said, there's been new filings. There's been new allegations put out here, not only just towards the feds and all that stuff. So it has been very, very interesting. And of course, I wanted to make sure that we had somebody on to explain a little bit of this stuff and what could it mean for the future of this particular case and the future of this trial. Also, I am still kind of curious, since we aren't there yet and we will be getting there hopefully here soon, could Diddy actually walk on a legal standpoint? In a legal standpoint, can this man actually walk out today? That's another question I'm actually curious about as well. So like I said, we do have somebody, a friend of ours, coming onto the show. Like I said, he hasn't been on in years. Okay. But again, he is a good friend of the show. He just, we just haven't had him on in a minute. And so I'm really, really looking forward to having our friend come and join us in a little bit. But like I said, on my second channel, I talked about one thing in particular. I will be asking his thoughts on this as well. But go check out the second channel, the latest video I just posted before I went live here, way before I went live here. Sorry, guys, for the delay. Like I said, I was looking things up and I was just making sure, hey, is this supposed to be happening soon, so on and so forth. But I had already set up everything, the time and all that stuff. And now because of all these new left turns, and these new allegations, it seems like the status of this has changed a bit. Okay. So again, let me just grab this stuff here in what I mean. Okay. Hold on one second. Like I said, very impromptu, very, very last minute, this change. But like I said, this just came out of nowhere. Okay. But for example, they're saying, well, yesterday, allegedly Sean Combs wrote a letter. Sean Combs' lawyer wrote to prosecutors that the DHS may have leaked the video of Sean Combs attacking Cassie, that hotel room video. Okay. Then filed a motion to that effect. Okay. So again, they're going to be apparently in court or having some sort of status hearing revolving around that, which is interesting because now it's like, okay, is today's conversation, is the hearing that is going on, is it going to be also about the bail? Or is this literally about this leaked video that they're claiming the Department of Homeland Security actually leaked? Now, let me show you what I mean, because let me pull up this image real quick so you guys can see this. Because like I said, I'm still trying to understand it myself, because it's developing news, guys. It just keeps developing and it's getting crazier and crazier. But let me just blow this up so you guys can see this even better. Okay, but it says, okay, let's see. It says, "Hi, Emily. Okay, thank you for reaching out and for the call last night. We contacted you yesterday to tell you what our direction was. Invited comment from you, and we hear and appreciate what you are saying. Ultimately, I don't believe you can possibly know what DHS agents did or did not do in regard to this tape. We are making it very clear that we believe the U.S. Attorney's Office was not involved in the leak. However, I don't feel the same way about the Department of Homeland Security." Again, like I said, we reached out as a gesture of good faith, and because we genuinely want to know your perspective. That being said, while you can speak from a position of knowledge in regards to your office, I don't believe you can do so in regard to the agency. This is not an issue of believing you guys or anything remotely like that. It is a matter of not knowing and controlling all aspects of the situation. If I'm missing something, please let me know. Now, this is a very interesting, and this is from, Agnifilo. Okay. Now, this is interesting. Okay. Because we already know about the other stuff. Like in the second video, or on the second channel, the video I put out, which is basically them claiming this, that Diddy is claiming that the Department of Homeland Security actually leaked this video. And the thing I'm still kind of curious about, the burning question is, will this make any difference in the trial? In this case, does it mean that he gets to walk because of a technicality? I mean, because of somebody actually leaking this tape or not? That's one of the things I'm kind of curious about, right? And then, of course, I'm curious about what this hearing is really about. Because again, like I said, it's just like, wait a second. I thought they were going to have a hearing for his bail. But then this may be something completely different, which I'm still trying to understand here as well. Okay. So again, like I said, it was like, okay, they put out the hearing, or they put out the paperwork for the bail, basically saying, hey, we are willing to do everything we can. He's willing to do anything so that he can be free out here. Okay. So that he can breathe and be free out here in these streets. Right. But then there's this new paperwork basically saying, hey, they have indeed, they believe that the feds leaked the video. And so I'm going, okay, does that make or break the situation for the feds and for this whole trial? Could he walk because of this? That's insane. So, of course, like I said, I do have a friend coming on in just a few minutes to talk about this and deep dive into the conversation. But of course, I do want to say this, and this is a little bit of a left turn, but it is important. Okay. My thoughts and prayers are going out to every single person that's still, well, one, I want to say this for those of y'all who survived the hurricane last night. Thank God you guys survived. Okay. For those that were left, that stayed behind, that couldn't get out, right? That stayed and did that. I'm very happy you made it through. I do want to say that really quick, because what was left behind, what this hurricane left behind, devastation. Okay. It's terrible out there. Okay. And I know a lot of people have been watching that, covering it, and all that stuff. Okay. And I was watching it all last night, and it's been pretty crazy. Okay. It's been pretty crazy. So I just want to say, thank God you guys are still alive. For those of y'all who were able to get out, I'm happy you were able to get out. For those of you that sat through that hurricane, I commend you, and I'm happy you are on the other side of this alive. Yes, your homes may be demolished. You may be homeless right now, or houseless, or without, I don't even know what the new term is nowadays, but with all due respect, you may be without home right now, and all your worldly possessions may be gone. But one thing that you have that is more precious than any of those worldly possessions is your life. Okay? So you can always get a new car or another car. Doesn't have to be new. You can always get another house. Okay? You can always get another computer. So just be thankful your heart is still beating in your chest and you're still breathing in this air. So I'm very thankful for everybody. Even the people that were out there, like in the storms, like shout out to Brian Enton, shout out to all the news stations that were in there, just in the craziness. You know what I mean? Mad props to everybody for just having the guts to be out there, because that takes some serious guts. Let's keep it real. Okay. I don't know if I could do it. I don't know if I could do, if I could even do that. So that is some terrifying stuff. Let me just keep it a buck. Okay. Absolutely terrifying stuff. But regardless, I'm very happy that everybody, because a lot of people lost their lives. They're saying multiple people have perished due to this hurricane and all that. And that is just devastating to hear. Okay. It's absolutely devastating to hear. But again, thank God for those of y'all who did survive and got through that. You're alive to tell the story, right? But again, we got a lot that's going on. And again, I'm a little confused myself. This is the reason why I'm hoping we can get a few things ironed out before the next live, because I will be back on around 12 o'clock Central Standard Time again to kind of rev ourselves up to the actual hearing that's about to happen. Because again, what we heard, or what I heard last night, was that there was going to be a hearing at around 9 o'clock in the morning. And unfortunately, that hearing has been moved up a couple hours. And I will be real. I'd rather bring my friend on, which we're going to talk for a little bit, and then take a break and come back on when the actual hearing is about to get going. Okay. So for those of y'all who are curious about what's going on. For those of y'all who have questions about everything, we are going to be going into this conversation here very shortly, or actually right about now. So let me just say this really quick, okay? Before we get into everything, this friend of mine I haven't had on the show in a very, very long time, okay? This man has a great, huge YouTube channel as well, called Ed versus Everything. And very, very insightful lawyer as well with Brown and Crouppen. He's here. So let's bring him on. Please welcome Ed Herman. Hey, what's up, Ed?
Hey, good morning. How you doing?
Man, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed. First off, thank you so much for being here. It's been years since you've been on the show. I think the last time you were on the show, it was we were talking about like Johnny Depp or something like that. I think it was
the Johnny Depp trial.
Yeah. So it's been a minute. So everybody give Ed Herman, okay, our good friend Ed Herman, some love and some purple heart emojis. That would be greatly appreciated, because I know a lot of people you may be new to them. But before we get into everything, before we dive right into this legal stuff, what are your thoughts on this whole Diddy situation? I mean, do you think this is a wrap for him? Do you think he's going to be just buried under the prison, or do you think there's any room for? Do you think there's any room?
Honestly, I think he's in very, very bad shape. I don't think prison is going to be kind to him. Ultimately, these kind of crimes have a way of being handled in prison in ways, as we've seen over the years, that this is not going to end well for him. I think the bigger question that I'm fascinated by is just seeing how deep it all winds up going. How many of the other names that we're hearing are complicit, whether there'll be additional charges, whether other reputations will be ruined, people will be canceled, or beyond. This is just the tip of the iceberg, is how it's looking to me.
Interesting. Now, the one thing I'm trying to understand and gather a little bit better is that they're saying that there's a status hearing. From my understanding, they're saying a status hearing. And I'm wondering, okay, for us laymen, because like I said, I'm not a lawyer. I just play one on TV. This is the reason why I'm bringing you on the show, right? So I'm curious, status hearing, does that have to do with the bail?
Well, I think that's clearly any opportunity that his lawyer is going to have to argue for some type of bail arrangement, they're going to seize every opportunity they can. A status hearing is just a check-in to see where things are. But the reality of it is, right now, his lawyer is solely focused on one thing, and that's getting him out of prison on some type of bail. The last thing, and I'm sure you've read the same stuff that I had, they're trying to put together, and you don't see this very often, but sort of a bail package that's not just about the amount of money, because when somebody has as much money and access to the kind of money that Diddy has, there's really not an amount of money that you're confident is going to keep him tethered and not fleeing. So they're putting together a package of things that are basically like a house arrest type of situation, with visitor logs, with promises that he's not going to speak to anybody on a potential witness list, that women are going to be prevented from entering his quarters except for family members. I don't know why they would limit it to women, considering the allegations extend beyond women. But that's, I think, where their lawyer is trying to go, is putting together a just any type of package he can, just to get the guy from out from behind bars.
So, in other words, the way I like to call it is they're moving the goalpost as best as they can.
I mean, listen, you can't blame his lawyer for trying. But I mean, if you're the judge on this, given the severity of the allegations, given the enormity of Diddy's resources, the desire to flee and the means to flee are just so high that it would be very difficult to imagine that the second he got out of there, he wouldn't hightail it to Morocco or some other place that doesn't have extradition to the United States.
Now, one thing that is interesting, because we went through the whole documents. Yes, we read documents on this show, Ed. We've graduated. We've graduated, my brother. But I am kind of curious about this, because even in the documents, they're basically saying that this is on Diddy's side. Okay, the defense is basically saying, hey, listen, they were not concerned about him being a flight risk. They were more concerned about him tampering with evidence or harassing witnesses and all that stuff. Now,
Well,
is that an approach in trying to make it seem like, listen, they're not worried. They're worried about witnesses. They're not worried about him hopping on a plane and flying off. Is that them just trying to grasp at straws here, or?
I think so. Listen, the thing is that tampering with witnesses or approaching potential witnesses, he can use other people to do that on his behalf. He has, and it wouldn't be anybody necessarily on his legal team, because I don't know that people want to be out there risking their law licenses, although it wouldn't be the first time a lawyer did something stupid for a few bucks. But he has a lot of friends out there, and not just friends. He has other people that he knows are vulnerable, people that he has leverage over. They already know he has leverage over them. If he has other celebrity friends who have engaged and were complicit, believe me, you don't think they're out there right now trying to get all the witnesses together, trying to get their stories straight, trying to work out some way to cover their own behinds? Of course they are. So to me, this idea that they're concerned about him being out there either bribing, quieting, intimidating, threatening other witnesses, that all could be happening now. The only thing that can happen while he's behind bars is he can flee to a country without extradition. So, to me, it always boils back to fear of fleeing and not so much fear of tampering. My God, he's got conduits. He can tamper all he wants right there from the middle of a jail cell.
Absolutely. I mean, this is from what I'm understanding. They're saying that he still has power. He still has abilities to, harass or give people hell while being locked up. That nothing's going to change if he was even set free. The only thing that they should be worried about is him, like what you said, hopping on a plane and flying off to Bali and doing sun salutations with Russell Simmons. But you were going to say something.
No, you're dead on there, and also, even if he said nothing, we all know him. He's front and center, and he's behind bars. Can you even imagine the number of people out there that are literally shaking in their shoes right now, and with all different levels? Because that there were other people that had to take part in all of this with him, and they're assessing what their legal exposure is. Then you have the people who were aware of it and didn't say anything to anybody, and they're all on the phone with their lawyers trying to figure out, what does this mean to me legally? Like, did I have some obligation or responsibility to bring certain things to the authorities and I turned a blind eye? You have the people that weren't even at these parties, but maybe saw videotapes after the fact where Diddy was showing things off to them, and now they're wondering, did I do something wrong legally? Am I on the hook? And then beyond whether they did something wrong legally, they are all assessing what this means for their personal brands. In some instances, people's personal brands have actually shot up. Justin Bieber, for example, if you've noticed, I think there's been a lot of collective, I guess it's sympathy, or at least more attention paid on it. The sales of his stuff have skyrocketed. But then, of course, you have other people who everybody is sitting back and wondering, how bad is this list compared to, say, the Jeffrey Epstein list that we never quite got to see.
Right.
I mean, this is bad on every level. And there's a lot of people out there. And then there's even people like Denzel, who were never part of any of it. But in interviews that have resurfaced, he even made comments to suggest, if you are going to be at one of these parties, you got to get out of there early, because eventually the devil shows up. And it were words to that effect. And I mean, we all love Denzel. We don't want to think anything bad. And I mean, it's not his place maybe to have done anything. But again, how widespread was this known? Just how many people out there they knew some crazy stuff was going on, probably illegal stuff. Maybe They didn't understand the level of depravity. But it's kind of shocking to think that even at that level, this was just an accepted, known thing, and nobody seemed to do anything.
No one did a damn thing, Ed. No one did a damn thing. By the way, guys, just so you guys know, Ed also is one of the co-hosts of a really great podcast called Three Lawyers Eating Sandwiches. You guys definitely got to check it out. They talk about a bunch of different things, everything from pop culture to local stuff to sandwiches, because they're literally eating sandwiches.
We are eating we're filming one later today, and I'm already hungry.
You're getting me hungry already. I'm already thinking about food already too. But you guys definitely got to check it out. Of course, it's Three Lawyers. If you're a law nerd like myself and just wanted to know more stuff, you definitely need to go and check out their podcast, because it's a great podcast. It's fantastic. Where can they find it really quick?
We're blanketing social media, but if you want to watch the full episodes or listen to the full episodes, you can watch them on our YouTube channel, which is the Brown and Crouppen YouTube channel, or you can go to wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, etc., and just look for Three Lawyers Eating Sandwiches.
Fantastic.
And you'll find it. I think we've published maybe 15 or 16 episodes. When it used to be a completely video series, if you go to bctv.com, you can actually watch the highly polished, produced episodes that we did in the past. We used to do that format, which was very pretty and really got to feature the restaurants, but we were only able to do about 6 of those a year, and that's just not enough to really maintain a podcast. So by switching it to a podcast, we have a new one every week. We like to feature the local businesses in St. Louis, draw some attention to them. We're all about shining a spotlight on the local stuff, especially businesses that really can't afford the marketing involved in getting their name out there. But we give honest assessments. Nobody pays us anything to promote their product. If we like what we are eating, we talk about it. If we don't, we're decidedly quiet. We don't badmouth, but we don't necessarily go on and on, as you can imagine.
Right. But I mean, I think that's great. And I think it's a great concept. And they've been doing this podcast for a while. So definitely go and check them out. You can find it on BCTV. Okay. BCTV on YouTube. And of course, they got some really great stuff and old stuff as well. I think you might find me in one of those as well, I think.
You pop up here and again.
Yeah, we had a few good times, but let's get back into this conversation. I wanted to let people know the stuff that you guys are doing over there, because you guys are doing some really great content and some really great stuff. And loving the new studio, by the way, the new setup.
It's a dream to finally have our own in-house studio and not have to go elsewhere. And we've got an in-house producer, and he does a really nice job. And then he puts, if you don't want to sit through the entire podcast, if you go onto our Instagram page of Get BC, which is our Instagram handle, or even 3LES Pod is a new Instagram handle. If you just want to see clips from the podcast and not have to see all of the other legal stuff that we like to mix in there to keep it diversified, but it's all out there. So what's the vibe right now? You're a little bit more in touch with your listeners as to, is there any sympathy out there at all for Diddy? Is there anybody coming out there and saying, you know what, innocent until proven guilty? Why is he in jail?
You're asking me a question. I like you. Okay, let me just tell this, my brother. Court of public opinion has already said what they said. It's a wrap for him. It's a wrap. Yeah. Now, the thing is, though, it's also because of the amount of stuff that just keeps on piling up. More and more stuff keeps getting crazier and crazier for him. There's so many allegations that just keep just flying off the handle. I mean, this whole Diddy train, it has been off the rails already. Yes, there's going to be a few people that are liars. There's going to be people that are out there just trying to scoop a bag, but there are going to be a lot of people that are actually telling the truth. I mean, given the fact that you have the feds, piling up evidence, and they have enough smoking gun evidence to show proof positive that this man is, getting charged with these particular charges, not only just from racketeering, but from, the trafficking charges and all that. I got to use these code words, unfortunately.
Yes.
But the amount of stuff that's being pitted up against him, I mean, court of public opinion, for the most part, all right, believe that this man is definitely guilty of doing these things, right?
It's true, but at the same time, we don't have a legal system that's based on the court of public opinion. They're based on courts of law. And I recently watched the documentary of the Menendez brothers trial, and I don't know if you guys have talked about that at all. Not the miniseries. The miniseries I haven't watched yet, but I watched the new documentary on Netflix. And I got to tell you, I lived through that time period. I don't know how old you were. You were probably not even born, but I was 18 when those murders occurred. I was in law school by the time the trial was the first trial was concluded. And, I got to tell you, like back then, the court of public opinion was these were a couple of rich kids who wanted their parents' money, were spoiled, didn't have the time to wait around for it, and they offed their parents. And that was the court of public opinion. But now here we find ourselves 30 years later having access to more information and more of an understanding of the effects of prolonged sexual abuse, and especially against young boys. And now the court of public opinion, even though the case is 30 years old, is, you know what, these guys probably shouldn't be in jail anymore. Yes, they murdered them, but under those circumstances, it was probably should have fallen into a charge that they had attempted in the first trial, the mistrial, called imperfect self-defense. And I think in hindsight, most people looking at the evidence and examining it under today's understanding of abuse, which was not really understood in 89 and 94 when the trial was, now a lot of people feel like they should be out. So I guess my point is that the court of public opinion can evolve over time. And I don't know that it will ever evolve to make any excuses for what Diddy has done or to view this any differently. But it really does highlight how important it is to not let the court of public opinion necessarily rule the day. I mean, we still have to be a nation of laws. And, the thing is that Diddy is going to get a fair trial because he can afford a fair trial. There are other people out there that cannot afford a fair trial and are left with public defenders. And, we don't want to have a situation where we develop a mob mentality. In the documentary, they mentioned that when the Menendez brothers had their second trial, because it was a mistrial the first time, it was a hung jury. The jury had deliberated a month and they couldn't come to a conclusion. They tried the case again. And this time the LA district attorney, their office, Gil Garcides, they really ramrodded the case down. The judge almost seemed complicit in that they didn't allow any evidence in the second trial about the abuse at all. They basically set it up to condemn these people for life. And the point they made was the second trial came right after the OJ verdict. And there was a belief that at that point, no defendant was going to get a fair trial in Los Angeles, that there was a bloodlust amongst the public that after OJ got off on his case, that they were not going to let another defendant back on the streets. And on the heels of that, the rate of defense convictions was astronomical in Los Angeles. And I just wonder how many people on the heels of that did not really get a truly fair trial, because there was still a mentality amongst the public and amongst jurors that we are not letting bad people back on the street. And they weren't listening to the evidence fairly. They were just trying to satisfy one injustice by perhaps creating another one.
Right. I mean, of course, yeah. After the verdict with OJ, there definitely was a wave of something, right? There was a wave of change. And there was a lot of people that were feeling some type of way. So yeah, when it came to the Menendez brothers and maybe some other cases surrounding, after like feeling the wake of that verdict, that OJ Simpson verdict, it may have changed the trajectory of the decision. But I agree with what you were saying earlier as far as SA for boys, especially. How things were looked at back in the day is different from what they're looked at now. But when it comes to Diddy, which I definitely want to get back into here, because I do have a lot of questions for you. But going back into Diddy, something with Diddy's situation, I just don't see how, applying somebody with substances, illegal substances, knocking them out. I don't think that at least the court of public opinion, I don't see there being any change.
I agree, but let me ask you this
on whether it is good or not. It is just straight up bad, straight through. In my personal opinion, so I don't see a change. With
okay,
that.
but
Same thing with the R. Kelly situation as well. You see what I'm saying? But go ahead, Ed.
Now I agree with you, but let me ask you this. That's not the dilemma here, right? I think they know they've got enough evidence. They can put him away for a million lifetimes.
Right.
But what would you be willing to offer to him if he was willing to basically turn in all of the other people that had some complicity in this? I mean, if he's willing to say, listen, I know there's nothing that's going to get him off completely. He may never see the light of day again.
Right.
But if you knew that he was willing to testify and contribute evidence that would lead to the conviction of 10 other people, celebrity or not, they might be doctors that were providing things. We've seen that now happen with the Matthew Perry case. We saw it happen with Michael Jackson. There may be other people here who violated their oaths, lawyers with unethical conduct. If you knew that he was able to name and provide evidence for 10 other people who should also be held accountable.
Right.
Is that something you would entertain and perhaps give Diddy a reduced sentence? Would you consider life, but with parole opportunities? Or maybe 25 years and with parole opportunities? Something that would give him an incentive to bring all of the other people to justice who really should be brought to justice too.
Right. So let me, the good question. And this is my response. Those people better be big. They better be huge. They better be people that are higher than him, right? In my personal opinion, for him to get a significantly reduced sentence, he has to take out the big wig if he's not the big wig himself. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, but are we talking though the big wig in terms of celebrity? I mean, to me, there's an argument.
No. What I'm talking about is, and this is what I was about to say, it has to be a big wig of somebody who's actually running things. Because there's something going on with this that just doesn't taste right. Given the fact that he has hidden cameras everywhere, he's making countless hours of videos, okay, of these freak offs that he's doing, so on and so forth. To me, he's not filming that just for his own pleasure. It feels like there's something more going on, and there may be some higher ups.
Well, I agree with you. If that's the case,
in that situation,
well, go ahead. I think we can agree. If that's the case, if he is just a cog in a much bigger wheel of a large sex trafficking, drug trafficking cartel of some sort,
right?
And the problem with that is if he goes and gives information on those larger in the operation, he's probably putting himself in personal danger if he then is at some point freed or on the streets. And I don't know that he flips on anybody higher in the operation if it doesn't keep him out of jail. And I don't think there's a way to keep him out of jail. I have to believe, though, that if he had the names of other well-known celebrities, doctors who violated oaths of office, lawyers who violated oaths of office, I have to think that would mean something. Now, the reality of it is this guy left the sloppiest trail in the world. And I just get the sense that the FBI and the various divisions of departments of justice that are involved, I have to believe that they feel like they can get all of that evidence even without Diddy opening his mouth and saying anything. I mean, when you have that much on video, it shouldn't be that difficult to pin down a lot of the other players.
Okay.
And then in the course, somebody's going to flip. Somebody's going to offer up names.
Ed, my question then to you is this. If they already have the smoking gun evidence on other names, on other celebrities, or maybe higher ups, why haven't we seen anybody else detained thus far? We only have Diddy right now, basically strung up in the town square right now, getting quartered as we speak, right? If there's other big names involved, where are their arrests?
I think because you typically in these situations, they're probably not going to arrest until they have an idea of their complete list and also what the individual charges will be for each of them, because you have to arrest them and charge them with something. And you don't want to say, well, we know that they did this much, so we're going to charge them with this, and we can always add more charges later. They typically don't do that. They're assembling everything, and they're also capitalizing on the anxiety that they know is being created. They're probably monitoring very closely the activities of those people on the list, and they're probably sitting and lying in wait because they know a lot of those people are going to add more charges to their claim in whatever efforts they're making right now to cover their tracks. And that's going to wind up revealing even more people who are going to be held accountable. They're making phone calls to lawyers, to other people that are in hot water. Conversations are occurring. If I were all of them, I would be super careful with everything. You don't know what warrants are going on right now. You don't know what conversations are being listened to, what emails are being read. But the walls are closing in on anybody who right now is sitting out there with the guilty conscience. And believe me, their actions are being monitored. And when the time is right and they think it makes the most sense, but remember too, they have leverage right now over those people because they haven't been named. And if you want somebody to flip, pick any name that you think might be associated with this. You know, take an usher who may have been a victim in all of this, you know.
True.
But we don't know. You can start as a victim, as we've seen in a lot of cases of abuse. One day you're the victim of it. The next day you're living in that world and you're doing things wrong.
Exactly.
But right now they still have their reputations sort of maybe still intact. If you're the authorities, the second you arrest them, you've lost some of your leverage. But if you're talking to somebody like that behind closed doors and you're basically saying, listen, we know you may have done some bad things later on, but we know you started as a victim. If you're willing to do X, Y, and Z, we will give you immunity and you'll never have to have your reputation ruined. You'll never have to face the arrest because in the court of public opinion, the arrest is the ball game. Mm-hmm. Second they arrested, it's the ball game. They got to be careful about that, but they have more leverage now because they have more to offer these witnesses. They can still have these witnesses, offer them anonymity, offer them immunity. I mean, they have more that they can put on the plate right now, but the second you make the arrest, the amount of things that you can offer them to get them to give up more becomes reduced.
Interesting. Very interesting. And of course, if he has things to give and bring to the table that isn't just accusatory of the prosecution or of the feds, yeah, I mean, it can make it a little bit more enticing for the feds or for the state to actually sit there and go, okay, we will give you a lesser sentence if you can help us, if you can give us more names. But in my mind, like I said earlier, these names have to be they have to be fire names. I mean, they have to be big wigs that are running things and maybe running.
They do, and I mean, remember
running Diddy himself. You know what I mean? They have to be the puppet players in a way.
Play with that. The bigger the names, the more you can offer Diddy.
Right.
The smaller the names, you know, you still want those names because it very likely may be those names who flip on the bigger names.
No doubt.
Like the more people you can get involved, the more opportunities you have to find somebody who's willing to, you know, maybe there's somebody who's not a celebrity who they could put in a witness protection program, who's willing to give up the bigger players in this. So it's a massive process. These were a lot of parties with a lot of attendees. It's going to be a tremendous amount of work to separate out who's going to be of use and be on this side of the equation, and who are our targets that need to be prosecuted that are going to be on the other side of the equation.
Yes, I think that's going to be something interesting as well, right?
I need to jump. I got a 10 o'clock meeting over here. I apologize. The half hour went by fast.
Yeah, I had so many questions for you.
Well, I can come back on. I can come back on anytime you want. I don't know. I'm sure this is going to be going on for more than just today.
Yeah, I mean, there is this status hearing, in a couple hours. If you're around, I'd love to get your opinions on a couple of these things too. But
I'll shoot you a text if I can get back on.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for being on. All right.
I appreciate you. Always.
Anytime, brother. Anytime. Talk to you soon. Peace. So guys, of course, Ed Herman, I mean, that was conversations with Ed is never boring and never dull. Okay. So huge shout out to Ed for being on and having a conversation. The discussions are never dull. They're never dull. All right. With, he's a tough guy to get a hold of. He's a busy man, right? Traveling all over the world and doing a whole bunch of different things. So it's great to have him on about this. But again, it makes for great conversation, right? So if you appreciated the conversation, please hit that like button down below, please, and thank you. I appreciated his take on things. Of course, hit that like button down below. Don't forget to crush that subscribe button, okay? Please and thank you. But again, we are still like I said, I'm going to be, I will be ending not this feed right now. We still got a few things we're going to look at here in just a minute. But just a quick thing, hit that like button down below, please and thank you. Don't forget to do that. All right, let's get it to 1K. 1K, 1,000 likes. It takes 2 seconds to do that. A like don't cost a thing. It helps the channel grow. It helps this show continue being as great as it is. It helps bring more great experts onto the show, legal and not legal. Okay, so please, hit that like button down below. Don't forget to subscribe. Okay. Actually, somebody just said something that caught my eye. Andy, do you think this Diddy case can be as big as OJ, especially if it is televised? Well, from my understanding, it won't be televised, but or it can't be televised if I'm correct. But at the same time, though, yeah, this is massive. This is bigger than R. Kelly. This is going to be massive, guys. Massive. Okay, let me just tell you that. Massive. Get ready for some craziness when it goes into trial. That the one thing I was going to ask Ed is, could he walk, with this information? Now they're talking about this video being leaked, the Cassie hotel video being leaked to the feds. Could this mean, right? Could this mean that they go, oh, snap, over a technicality, our bads, kick rocks, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I still have so many questions about this. And in fact, hold on. Give me 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. Let's see. Let's see. Just putting some feelers out. But we'll see what happens, okay? Because like I said, still got some questions, but like I said, always love having Ed on. Like I said, it's been years since he's been on, but it's never a dull moment when he does get onto the show. There is something else, though, I do want to share with you guys, which is pretty interesting. I just have to find it. I was, just so drawn in by the conversation with Ed. I wanted to pull this up too real quick because I thought I saw this and I thought this was interesting too. So just give me 2 seconds here, guys. 1 second. Because things be crazy out here. Okay. Okay. So there's a video. Okay, now there's something I do want to share with you guys because, like I said, I will be hopping off in a little bit, probably in about a half hour, maybe less than that. And then I'll be back on again. Okay, I'll be back on again to talk about and cover the status hearing that's going on. So there is a status hearing that's going to be going on here in a little bit. Okay, so. Now, let me just say this, okay? There's a lot that's going on. They're accusing the feds of actually, and I'll show you guys the title of the article. I even talked about it on my on my second channel. I'm sorry. Like I said, and even I saw Black Anonymous even say, "Damn, Pascal, you putting out more content than I can even catch up." I appreciate it. Okay, we out here working really, really hard. Okay, but let me share this with you guys again. Okay, so Diddy implies feds leaked Cassie video, the big video, the video that launched 1,000 lawsuits. Okay, the video that got him pretty much helped him get even more locked up, and of course made him guilty under the court of public opinion, okay? Because Ed is right. What he said is right. And we've talked about that a million times before. Court of public opinion is not the law. So judicially speaking, he is still innocent until proven guilty. But you can see that they are out here trying to grasp at straws, in my personal opinion. They're doing everything they can to move things around so that he can either get exonerated, he can walk, or that they can maybe get a lesser sentence for him. That is it, right? But now he's saying, now his team is alleging that the Department of Homeland Security is the ones that actually leaked this this hotel video that we've all seen, which to me is absolutely crazy. But still the question remains for me is, does this change anything at all for this trial, for this case, rather? Does this change anything for them? And like I said, that is a big, big thing. That's a big, big problem in my personal opinion. Okay. 1 second. Just reaching out. Okay. So very interesting stuff, though. So let's just look at this article really quick. I'm just going to give you guys a few snippets of here because I did talk about this on my second channel. Definitely go over to my second channel, The Pascal Show Clips. Check that out. I do have a video I want to share with you guys, which is crazy. Okay. So I'm going to share that with you guys in a second. It has to do with another celebrity talking about some things. All right. We're going to look at something here in a second. So again, okay, shocking new claim from Diddy and his legal team. They believe the federal government orchestrated the leak of the Cassie video to the media, which of course, gives us a little bit of this. I mean, let's be real. Them sitting there going, the feds are after me and they orchestrated this. And I'm going to explain why they say orchestrated, which is weird. And I think I feel like it's such a reach. Okay. Such a reach, in my personal opinion. They be reaching, though. So let's continue. According to the new documents obtained by TMZ, the article we're reading here, Diddy's attorneys accused the feds of misconduct in his criminal case, namely by allegedly orchestrating the leak of the Cassie tape. Okay, and the fact that they gave this to CNN. CNN, of all people, right? Pretty wild stuff that they gave it to CNN. They didn't give it. I don't know. Maybe TMZ feels some type of way because they're not the ones that leaked the video. They were not the first one. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of interesting, right? But they are specifically blaming the Department of Homeland Security, not the U.S. Attorney's Office, which is also wild to me. Diddy's lawyers claim the day CNN. This is really weird. Hold on. So let me just say this really quick, okay? Diddy's lawyers claim the day CNN published the video, okay, May 17th, a correspondent from that network contacted a member of Diddy's team to seek comment on a video they intended to publish in a few hours, with the correspondent indicating CNN came across a video and currently have in our possession surveillance video footage from the Intercontinental Hotel in LA in 2016. Okay. His attorneys say after being approached by CNN, they emailed the prosecutors assigned to Diddy's case and told them they had gotten word CNN had been given a videotape of the Intercontinental video or hotel, from 2016 and told the prosecutors, my concern is that someone, not any of you and not the lead case agents, okay, provided this footage to CNN. I bring this to your attention solely because I imagine you didn't want this to happen any more than I did, okay, or than that I do. Now, what's the other part where the orchestration I think is very interesting? So I'm going to kind of cut through some of this article. This part is very interesting. They say that this is where the orchestration came in. So the timing of the leak is also interesting. Orchestration. Bring out your fiddles. This is what the Diddy's lawyers are saying, pointing out that on May 17th, there was a break in the Donald Trump trial, and thus a slow news day that would give more attention to the Cassie tape. So hear me out. Hear me out. They're alleging not only was this footage, one obtained by DHS, given from DHS, one of the agents just happened to slip and fall and give it over, okay, to CNN. They also are claiming that they were like, it's a slow news day. Donald Trump trial is going on right now. He's facing a whole bunch of different things, so on and so forth. We need something that's going to get us clicks and views. Let's put it out. Let's put that one out right now. Let's just put it out because this is perfect timing because no one's listening to the Trump stuff right now because there's a little bit of a lull. So let's put this up right now. Let me just tell you this right now. I don't give a damn if it was the Hurricane Milton situation going on and people are in the eye of the storm. Here I am in the eye of the storm. Gale force winds, such and such, holding onto a limb, flying sideways. And everybody's watching that. It don't matter. As soon as that dropped, everyone was going to avert their eyes. Everyone was going to be like, wait a second, is that for real? Oh, snap. What did Diddy do? Oh, my God. That's terrible. Everybody would have stopped in their tracks. It doesn't matter if there was an earthquake, massive earthquake throughout the Americas. As soon as they drop that, everybody and their mom are going to be watching that. So this has nothing to do with orchestrating timing. Oh, it's a slow news day. Let's just drop this. No, that's huge. This was massive. Everybody stopped dead in their tracks. It could have been like Wall Street, another Black Monday or something like that, right? Stocks are dropping and then suddenly, boom, this video drops. What? What the hell is this? Oh my God, my stocks. But Diddy, oh my God. No, don't do that to Cassie. How dare you? So it is true. He's a liar. See what I'm saying? Doesn't matter. It could have been showed. Okay. It could have been anything at this point. Okay. Just keeping it a bean. Okay. So I call that BS. Grasping at straws. Now, the one thing I was going to ask Ed, which I was hoping he would stay for just a little bit for one more question, but one of the main questions I do have is, does this really screw up the prosecution's case? If it was leaked by DHS, is that technicality? Well, it being leaked, which it's not good if it was leaked by them. Obviously, that's not good. But if it was leaked by them, does this screw up the case? Could this mean that Diddy could walk because it was leaked? But here's the other question. The other question I have in my mind is this. How are they going to prove it? How can they prove that an agent from the Department of Homeland Security leaked this mother-loving ish? How can they prove it? Because for a fact any of those agents are going to sit there and go, nah, I didn't do it. I have no idea who did it. People could sit there and deny. Oh, here's the other part too. Here's another part that they said, which I thought was kind of comical. Okay. And I'm going to share this with you too. But like I said, go to my secondary channel, The Pascal Show Clips. I break this whole article down and talking about all this as well. Well, one thing is interesting that this is interesting here, right here. Just follow me here. It says Diddy's team also says Cassie was likely not a source of the leak because her lawsuit against Diddy didn't make it seem like she had the tape and she had no motive to leak it to the press. Really? You really think? Come on. Really? You really think Cassie wouldn't drop this like it's hot to show proof positive that this man's a monster up in this mother lover? If she had it in her possession, she has no motive. $30 million is a motive. Let's keep it a bean. 30 million smackers is most definitely a motive. She puts out this scathing, long, very descriptive lawsuit against Diddy. Diddy comes out through his lawyer saying, this is a witch hunt. He's an innocent man. He is a man who cares. He's a philanthropist. He's a musician. He's a media mogul. How dare you go after a man of such great heights, right? And accomplishments. And then suddenly this video comes out. And he's like, oh yeah, I found God. I found rehab. I found therapy. I'm just a man. I'm not perfect. I'm trying to be better. You don't think that she would drop this so hard? One, not only for the 30 million smackers, but also the fact that he's out here saying she's a liar, talking ill on her name. That's motive enough. Oh, so you won't give me the $30 million on this tell-all book? I bet. Let me hire some new lawyers. We're going to draw up a new scathing lawsuit. We're going to drop that out in the public like it's his art. And then you react saying she's a liar. How dare she say that stuff? Oh, but I got the tape. Drop it. Come on. Come on. So to me, it's like, it could be Homeland Security, but it also could be Cassie too. And if it is Cassie, then this has nothing to do with the case, nothing to do with the trial, right? But you need to prove that it's an agent from the Homeland Security. Like I said, you can sit here and say it all day long, but where's the proof, baby? Where's the proof? The footage did not say, property of Department of Homeland Security. It didn't say anything like that. It's just a video. So you need to show the proof, which is wild to me. Okay? She could definitely be the person who dropped this. But this doesn't work for their narrative. Cassie leaking the video doesn't work in their favor when they're trying to get this man free. Ain't that about a shut your mouth? Crazy, right? Like I said, to me, I call trash. To me, I call trash. But here's the thing. There's a video out here. Okay. Hold on. Hold on one second, guys. I might be getting another friend on the show, on the live. So give me a second. But while we are waiting for them to respond, okay? Today's going to be filled with lawyers, okay? Whole lot of lawyers coming through, okay? Even when we get back and do the live watch party for the oh damn, okay. She can't. Okay, it's all good. Yep. Okay. So, okay, that's not going to work out, but it's all good. Hopefully they'll all be on when we get back on in a couple hours. But here's the thing. All right. There's a video that has been out here that has been circulating out here in these streets. And what's interesting is Arsenio Hall. Okay. Arsenio Hall did an interview with Howie Mandel. Okay. And he talks about a time that Well, let me just play the tape. Let's just play the video, shall we? Because in this Howie Mandel podcast, he talks about freak offs, or he talks about Diddy parties. He didn't talk about freak offs, but he talked about Diddy parties and all that stuff. But, you know, Arsenio Hall, if you don't know Arsenio, you know, you're missing out. Okay. Very talented guy. He was one of the first black late night talk shows in the early 90s. Okay. He had a very successful show until it wasn't successful anymore. And I think it was honestly when he brought Louis Farrakhan onto his show, and that's when everything went belly up. Okay. Yeah, it's interesting, but it's a deep cut. But he was on this show, and yes, Nicole B. He was on Coming to America. You know, he was Eddie Murphy's sidekick in like a bunch of his movies. Okay. Coming straight out of Zamunda. Okay. Little deep cut there too. But he was on Howie Mandel's podcast, and he had some things to say about Donald Trump, and he also had some things to say about Diddy and Aubrey O'Day as well. Let's take a look at this. Hopefully it'll play. I'll pull it up here in a second once it starts running.
I've been to dinner parties at Diddy's houses or different places. I've never been to the ones that I know you're hoping that I can talk about. And that's the ones where there
I don't hope. I want to know.
1,000 bottles of baby oil. But first of all, that sounds like a good way to keep people from leaving. Because if you got a lot of baby oil, it ain't nobody going nowhere. You know,
You're
you
just
start
slipping and sliding. You can't turn the doorknob.
Yeah.
Ain't that crazy? That's some scary stuff if you really think about it. Like, I know that they're making jokes about it, but if you really think about it, that's scary. Dude just out here like, oh yeah, just sliding in baby oil. Can't open the door, can't even walk, can't even run because you got baby oil everywhere. That's scary. I'm sorry. You can't escape. Exactly, Nicole B. You can't escape. You can't go nowhere. You just slipping and sliding. Yes. Baby oil. I like that jogger set. It's kind of fire.
I can't get out.
You can't escape if there are 1,000 bottles of baby oil being used. That's a lot of oil.
Yeah, and it's not like you could just say, like, if somebody claims that you did something, you can go, I slipped.
Yes.
I just slipped in.
His attorney, though, said that he probably just bought it from
Costco. That was a great. I'm sure Costco.
I think if you go to Costco, they don't have 1,000 bottles of baby oil right now.
I would imagine the two. I got to read another ad again. Costco says.
Were you surprised at the charges, though, or did you hear like rumblings ever from anyone that he was not great person?
I've always heard the rumblings, and I witnessed an interesting conversation.
Hold on. He said he always heard the rumblings. Remember, the rumors and things that have been talked about with Diddy have been, the rumblings, as he's saying, have been around for decades. Just so you know. And that's the thing. There are now other people that are getting put into this stuff, into these situations. Again, even one of the singers of Jodeci, one of the singers in Jodeci is now being named in one of these lawsuits right now. Okay? This is not good because the rumblings could possibly very well be real, right?
During a commercial, when I did Celebrity Apprentice, okay?
And he's the winner of Celebrity.
We'll talk about
that. We'll talk about that.
I won Celebrity Apprentice one year, and
when Aubrey O'Day was on,
I was on that year.
Oh,
I saw that.
It was year 5 or 05.
She's been very outspoken about her feelings with Diddy.
And here's the interesting conversation in the room.
Mm-hmm.
She says some negative things about Diddy, and I'm listening. Trump chimes in and defends Diddy, and that surprised me because usually Trump don't defend nobody but himself. And for him to speak up and say, well, I like him. He's a good guy. I've never had problems, blah, blah, blah. And he gives him a full-throated vote of character. And Aubrey says, well, that wasn't my experience. And she says the opposite. and says he's a horrible person. And I'm listening to this, and I have no idea one day this is going to play out in real time. And of course, this is that month that it's playing out.
Wow.
But Trump liked Diddy.
Trump liked Diddy. Okay. And let me just say this, okay, real quick. This is not this is not some sort of attack at him or at Diddy, at Trump or anything of that sort. But at the same time, allegedly, let's be real, not everybody knows everybody. And just because there's rumblings, those rumblings could be rumblings in one neck of the woods, and you may not even be in that part of the woods, right? But he's like, oh, he's a good guy, all that stuff, And it's like, okay, whether he knew or not, I don't know. Trump. But the fact that he's like, defending him, maybe he's just one of those people who's like, I just don't like people talking trash. I don't like people talking trash on friends that I know. You know what I mean? When they're not even in the room to defend themselves, right? So, it's something to think about for sure. But at the same time, the rumblings were out here, okay? The rumblings were out here. Everybody knew about these things at that time. And what's sad about it is that either people didn't look into it or they couldn't look into it. And I think that's one thing that's really sad about this, right? That it's just like, oh, it's a rumor. It's being said. But no one's actually doing anything about it, right? Hold on. Sorry, guys. I'm trying to pull something up here. So I have it because I'm going to pull this up and play this for you guys as well. Because we ain't done yet. We ain't done yet, fam. So hit that like button down below. Like I said, we're still watching. Of course, in a little bit, we're going to be ending this feed and starting a new one here in a little bit to so that we can do a status, kind of like a status hearing watch party and all that, which I think is going to be very, very interesting to see when it all comes out. But come on. But I got something cooking, so hold on. Actually, no. What am I doing? Hold on. Hold on, guys. Okay. So there is a video, another Arsenio Hall clip where he talks about Diddy parties. So I want to share that with you guys. And of course, if you want to watch this or check this thing out, it's Howie Mandel Does Stuff clips. Okay. And of course, it's, he's got his own podcast. If you don't know who Howie Mandel is, okay, comedian, actor, host, all that stuff. Okay. But before we get into that one, okay, first off, hit that like button down below. Let's not forget to do that. I see a gang y'all in here, and I'm going to be back on in about, when we get done, I'll let you guys know when I'm going to be back on. But, we will be starting to watch everything around noon Central Standard Time, 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on the Eastern neck of the woods. So if you guys are interested to see things, I'm going to be bringing on friends, etc., that are going to be coming on and being a part of the conversation. Okay. So just want to let you know, hit that like button down below, hit that subscribe button, please. And thank you. All right. We got a lot to talk about. There's a lot going on, and we're going to get into it. But let's get into these super chats here really quick. Have you heard of our Lord and YouTube Savior, the like button? No, go crush it and show Pascal some support. It's free. Much love. Thank you so much, Carbonized. I appreciate it. Yes, crush that like button down below, please, and thank you. Kwame, thank you so much. Where in the 14-page indictment he used substances or did what he did? In which 14-page indictment? There's a lot of indictments. There's a lot of legal documents. So which one are you talking about? That's what I'd like to know. Okay. Deborah, thank you so much. If he gave if he gave up heads, I think if he gave a heads up to the industry and celebrities, I'd offer 15 to 20 years. He'd have to write by hand. Oh, he'd have to write by hand apologies to all the victims. Yeah, he'd have to write by hand. Yeah, I mean, it would have to be again, this would have to be a massive name. It would have to be a without question, massive individual, right? Or individuals. It has to be somebody up above. It can't just be somebody down below. Sure, throw them in there too. He, I'm sure, has minions, people aiding him in his needs and all that stuff as well. But at the same time, man, please, if there's any people up above, definitely take them down. That's what I think. Chip, Clive Davis, Sony, Les Wexner, Victoria's Secret. Yeah, I mean those are the allegations. Those are the names that are floating around, but we don't have any proof of those names yet, right? Kwame, what evidence for Bieber and Usher or the using of substances? Well, one, right now, it hasn't been proven yet, and we're waiting for that stuff, is the fact that 120 different victims have stepped forward, right? They have stepped out. Some of them actually did get testings, finding trank in their system. Now, I want to see the proof on those things too, but that's what's being alleged right now. So we'll see what happens, Kwame. All right. Like I said, everything's still pending right now. Chip, ringleaders, Clive Davis, Les Wexner, say the name. Yeah, that's what's being said out here. Or that's some of the names, right? There's going to be more, I'm sure. Sun Worshiper, sorry. Thank you so much. Happy birthday, Marcus G. Happy birthday, Marcus G. There we go. Happy birthday, Marcus. Jane Locke, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. So let me share this with you guys. This is a video again from Howie Mandel's show, and I think this is interesting. And like I said, we're not gonna play the whole doggone thing, but we're gonna play a little bit of this. And this is him talking about these Diddy parties. Again, there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna sit there and say, "I've been to the Diddy parties, but I ain't been to the Diddy parties." All right, I've been to the Diddy parties, but I ain't been to the Diddy parties. And I feel like that's gonna be that conversation right here.
In mind,
I'm going to.
In all fairness, there are different kinds of Diddy parties. I've seen Diddy parties where children were there.
I think that was the problem.
Well, okay. Let me start all over. Let me start all over. Where, say, for instance, you use a person's home and their families in the home,
right.
So it's fun, legitimate. 8 p.m.
Right.
Lots of food,
right,
and music.
Okay.
Then there are.
Is that the one you went to?
Yes.
Oh,
that's one of the ones I went to. Now, I've also seen the ones that last longer than 8 or 9. Mm-hmm. And my secret has always been, first of all, I don't go anywhere without my woman. I think don't go anywhere alone. I swear to you, if you have the rule of not going anywhere alone, you don't get in as much trouble. It's very rare.
Interesting, right? He's like, hey, one thing that I do, I don't go anywhere without my woman. Okay. I'm not sitting here challenging it. I'm not sitting here saying that I don't believe him, but that is very interesting though. That is a very interesting, and if he really is practicing that, that is a very strong approach. And it does make you wonder why. Why would he go, I ain't going nowhere without my wife or my woman, right? That makes you wonder just a little bit. Let's continue.
Rarely does somebody say, yeah, me and my boys were hanging out. I ended up with a dick in my ass. It's like, it's rare.
Time out. Whoa. Woo! He kind of said that too easily. Okay. Remember the eggs, the hard-boiled eggs? The hard-boiled eggs. Okay. But man, but here's the thing though. You know, we're so used to hearing about women, you know what I mean, saying like, oh, ladies, if you're going to go out and kick it, you know, and do all that stuff, go to these parties, you know, go to parties, do whatever. Don't go alone. Don't ever go out there alone, right? We hear that kind of thing all the time. And I feel like it's the same way with men too, right? Men should be well aware, like, hey, you know, it ain't femme to ask your boy if he wants to go to this party with you, that kind of thing. So, you know, at least you have somebody else there just in case, right? I mean, this makes me think about the Riley Strain case a little bit. I know that's a little bit of a left turn, but it does make me think about that as well. It's like, you know, holding each other accountable and keeping each other safe, right? It doesn't have to be you know, the girlfriend or your woman. It could be one of your boys, just making sure that he's, yeah, pirate's booty. That's funny. Pirate's booty. How fitting. But yes, the buddy system, right? A buddy system. Okay. It's not femme. It's not weak to show up with your boys, because nowadays there's so many crazy things going on. People are nuts out here. Real talk. Let's continue though. But that's interesting. He's like, oh yeah, found out what it be. You know what I mean? With the D in my butt. What's up with that? What? Okay. He said it like it was normal. Like that was just normal everyday stuff. You know, one day just, you know, that's crazy.
Rarely happens.
Right.
If you got
sometimes by accident with baby oil.
If you got your road dogs with you, you take your woman with you. It's when you go someplace alone and stay too long, and that's when trouble happens. But
so the problem with being alone is you can end up with a dick in you.
I just was making sure Jack was listening.
Yes.
But the bottom line is
that's a whole other group. That's Sonny in the Backpack.
The broke backpack.
Yeah.
I've been to dinner parties at Diddy's houses or different places. I've never been to the ones that I know you're hoping that I can talk about. And
but I feel like, okay, I feel like everybody and their mama is going to say that. Everybody and their mama is going to be out here sitting there go, oh yeah, you know, I was at his parties, but I wasn't at his parties, you know. It's frustrating. And I know that's going to be inevitable because no one wants to attach themselves to this situation, especially with all of it that's going on. But at the same time, for him to sit there, I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't believe Arsenio Hall, but at the same time, it's kind of like, homie, are you for show? For real though. You weren't at these parties. You weren't at the parties. Not once. You didn't even walk into and just see, oh, everybody just out here bumping uglies. Wow. Okay, I'm going to close these doors and go back to my woman. Whatever it may be, right? Just seems a little bit odd that rumblings, right? But he didn't know. And he never been. I don't know. Questionable.
That's the ones where there's 1,000 bottles of baby oil. But first of all, that sounds like a good way to keep people from leaving. Because if you got a lot of baby oil, it ain't nobody going nowhere. You know,
everybody's sliding and slipping and sliding and sliding and slipping. Let's see. And we already heard that other part. So
ever from anyone that he was not a great person.
I've always heard the rumblings. And I witnessed an interesting conversation during a commercial Celebrity Apprentice one year. And interesting conversation in the room. Mm-hmm. She says because usually Trump don't defend nobody, but
yeah, that's it. And so he just
Aubrey says, well, that wasn't my experience.
Yeah, and we already heard all the rest of that. But what I think is very interesting about this is that, of course, he's talking about he's seen the parties. He's like, there's different types of parties, but he sits there and he denies, hey, I ain't got nothing to do with that stuff. I wasn't there. I've been at his parties, but I ain't been at his parties, right? That's what he's claiming. I guess I leave that question up to you guys. You know, is he fibbing? Okay. Or is he telling the truth? Man, I got questions. Because like I said, everybody's going to sit there and say the same thing. And does it mean that they're lying instantly? No, it doesn't mean that they're lying. But it also could possibly mean that there are people out here that really do know, that really were at these parties. Let's not forget, there's a video of Kevin Hart, for example, walking out, getting out of his vehicle. He's going to I guess some sort of dinner with his wife. Paparazzi gets up to him and says, "Hey, do you have anything to say about these freak offs and how you were hosting these parties, for Diddy and all that?" And he says, "You asking the wrong person, the wrong question." And he just kept walking, right? And to me, instantly I go, him guilty. That's just what I feel. Gut reaction. Him guilty. Big time, right? But I feel like the people that really were in Diddy's orbit, the close ones, I could see something like Arsenio Hall never being at one of these parties, because I don't think he was in that close-knit circle. So of course he's going to be able to go on to a podcast or any type of show and sit there and go, "Hey, I was at the parties, but I was never at these parties." Because he's just not close to Diddy. But all the people that were close with Diddy, come on now. For them to sit there and say, "Yeah, I was at the parties, but I was never at those freak offs." Are you sure, bruh? You tight. You super tight with him. Y'all are very, very close. You tell me one, you didn't know about the freak off parties, and two, you didn't participate in at least one of them? Doesn't mean that you were a part of anything illegal. It just means that you were there. Something to think about. Let me grab some of these super chats. Jasmine, thank you so much for the super sticker. I really do appreciate it. And Cruz with Cindy, thank you so much. Arsenio Hall told on himself and dropped names. Yeah, I mean, see, like I said, people are going to look at this, and yes, he did drop names for sure. But at the same time, people are going to look at this interview. People are going to look at this this moment that he had talking about this, and they're going to side eye it. Some people are going to side eye it, and some people are going to be like, "Nah, this is the truth." You know what I mean? He's telling the truth. But I think it's interesting that, he's guilty by association already. Because one, he's a name. Two, he admits to knowing about these parties, or he admits to going to these parties. And then he says there are different types of parties. So how do you know? How do you know that there are different type of parties? So you must know at least that the freak offs did exist. Because you wouldn't know. Every party would be the same, right? There would not be levels to this ish. You feel me? So now you see this and it's like, oh, wait a second. So he knew about it. So what's up with that? But then he's quick to be like, "Man, I've been there, but I wasn't there. And I always had my woman with me." Okay? You tell me every time he went out, he's always with his wife or his woman? I don't know, guys. This is some crazy stuff, guys. This is some crazy stuff, indeed. But we are looking into this. We are going to be watching. And again, in about, about an hour and a half, I'll be back on to watch the court, the status hearing. Okay. That's the thing. Things have been moved around. Instead of this being a bail hearing, I mean, I don't know if they're throwing that into the conversation this afternoon or not, but there is a status hearing happening in about an hour and a half, or it happens a little bit before that, or a little bit after an hour and a half. But I will be live to talk about this and bringing on other friends back onto the show, other legal friends as well, to talk about all this stuff. Because again, there's a lot going on, and we still need I still want some facts, right? I still need some more information, and I'm curious about the video being leaked. I'm curious about all the allegations that his team is now starting to throw out here, saying that there's some sort of corruption going on. I'm very curious about all of that. But I will be back on, okay? So make sure that notification bell is set to all, because I will be back on in about an hour and a half from now to watch the status hearing, okay? Which was moved. It was supposed to be this morning, and it got moved to about, well, it starts around noon, okay? Or, yeah, ish. Okay, it's supposed to be like 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so that's 1 p.m. Central Standard Time for me. So I'll be back on around 12:15 to chop it up, talk about a few things, hopefully bring some friends on to talk about some things as we rev up to the actual hearing. Okay, guys? But that is the show. I appreciate all y'all for being here. I'll be back on again in an hour and a half, so make sure you are here to watch all the craziness that goes down, and we're going to be bringing in some other lawyer friends and all that stuff to talk about all the craziness that's going down revolving around Diddy. Could he walk? We're going to find out. We're going to find out. We will see. Okay? So, please do me a favor before we head out. Hit that like button down below. Crush it. Do what it do. Crush that like button down below. Don't forget to hit that reaction button if you're watching on other platforms, okay? If you are watching on other platforms like Facebook, X/Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and Rumble, please be sure to hit that follow button, hit that subscribe button, okay? Subscribe here to my main channel. Go to my secondary channel. I just put up a video a little bit ago, okay? This morning on the second channel. Go over there. Make sure you check it out. Subscribe to that second channel. Comment down below. Let me know what your thoughts are and all that, okay? Do not forget, of course, to support if you can. Hit that join button down below. Become a member. If you want to support even further, I got locals.com/The Pascal Show. Patreon as well. Patreon.com/The Pascal Show. And I got that merch. PascalMerch.com. Go check it out. We got some really great stuff over there. And, you know, it is the season. Holiday season is coming up fast, okay? So if you're looking for something dope for your kids, for your loved ones, etc., please go over there and check it out. We got some hoodies that are just fire. So go check them out. Okay, guys? But anyway, it is time to get going. Much love to you guys, and I will see you guys very, very shortly, okay? Literally, in about an hour and a half, I'll be back on. So stick around. We got some things to talk about. It's time to get going. Be good to yourselves. Be good to one another. See you guys in about an hour and a half. This is The Pascal Show. Bye.